Welcome everybody to Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park. I'm your host, Attacking Toucans, and we are officially entering Season 2, where things are about to be turned up to a whole nother notch. For the second half of the series, which isn't actually going to be as long as the first half, we're going to be getting way crazier with all the rides we build. We're going to get way more imaginative, a lot more creative, and we're going to start to throw realism out the window a little bit as we start to make some of these rides way over the top and exaggerated. So we're starting off by carving out the subway tunnels for the monorail system, because above this is going to be a miniature city that we're going to be using to build a roller coaster. Now, we've discussed theming this roller coaster after Mario Odyssey or Spider-Man, but I'm not quite sure if I want to do that yet. We're going to be deciding after I build the coaster itself how we're officially going to be theming it. But for now, we're just going to be building a miniature model of a city and trying to make it look as nice as possible. So I started off by using the paths to create a street system, trying to make quite a few blocks. Now I am using quite a few blueprints that came in the default game for the buildings in the city, because having to build all of these buildings individually would make it take about 5 episodes to build this downtown section, in contrast to the 1 episode it takes us today. We're doing that because we want to focus more on building coasters and rides than trying to build every single building from scratch. Plus, Planet Zoo comes out later this year, so we got to get this theme park somewhat wrapped up by the time that game comes out so we can build the ultimate zoo as well. Now, there's 2 sections to this downtown area. There's the metropolis section, which is where the skyscrapers are, and there's more of the downtown section, which is where the smaller apartment buildings are. The metropolis skyscraper area is going to be blocked off to the public. You're not going to be able to walk over there. The public is only going to be able to walk around these smaller buildings. And then we're going to put some like shops and restaurants and things inside of them. While the area with the skyscrapers is where there's going to be a roller coaster, or we're going to have the coaster going inside and outside of skyscrapers. We're probably going to have it be very action-packed. So like when the coaster goes into the skyscraper, when it comes out, there'll be an explosion behind it to really make it action-packed. Maybe I should just theme this coaster off that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie, Skyscraper. That was probably one of the most intense, anxiety-inducing movies I've ever seen in my whole entire life. So I'm starting off by getting the basic placement of all these buildings down, and then we'll go through and add the sidewalks, benches, fire hydrants, street lamps, all that kind of stuff to really make it look nice. And I wanted to kick the season off right by having a double whammy where we're going to be building 2 awesome things this episode. Starting off with this city, and then the second half of this episode is going to be dedicated to building a second roller coaster on Hyrule Castle, where it's going to wrap around and do loops on the outside of the castle and make the castle look 10 times cooler. So right here I'm making an entrance to a subway system, because like I said, the monorail in this area is going to be disguised as a subway tunnel. It's not going to be anything too fancy, but it's much cooler than having it above ground. But it is really nice starting this episode though, because as you guys probably know, the past 10 episodes have all been mostly finishing things that we started, whether that be different rides or the park entrance, which was a whole beast in and of itself. But the nice thing about starting the second season is that we have finished 100% everything else we've built so far. So we're just starting off with brand new things, and we're just moving forward with the park in general. Now I want to take a moment and introduce you guys to a brand new little mascot I had designed for the theme park. I hired an artist to make me a character because I announced in episode 50 that the name of the park is the Toucan Kingdom. So we now have a little mascot. Now for this first image of him, I had him dressed up as Link because we're going to be having him as a mascot for the Zelda coaster and for promotional pictures for that. And I have like a little joke nickname for him, which is the Toucan of Time. But the toucan needs an overall name in general. So for today's comment question, in the comments below, leave me some name ideas for this little toucan fellow. And I'll pick my favorite name in the next episode. And also, I am using this little guy as like a little character for my merch as well. So if you like this character and you want to help support me and this series, you can go to the link in the description and buy a t-shirt with the character on it. I have little pocket tees where the little toucan of time is in the corner near the pocket. And if you don't want a t-shirt, you can find the character on coffee mugs, pillows, and iPhone and Samsung cases. This is the first time I've really taken merch seriously on my channel, because I've realized as I'm going into this full time, for me to be able to pay all of my bills, I kind of got to make some money in other places because YouTube isn't the most reliable. So if you've been a fan of this series and want to show any support, you can buy some of this Toucan of Time merchandise and get yourself a cool shirt or other item while supporting my channel. The first thing I'm going to be spending my money on though is the money that I make from these shirts and merchandise. I'm going to be reinvesting back into the artist so we can get more pictures of this toucan. Because I want to get a regular picture to use as the sign for the park entrance. I want to have some pictures to use for fake signs around the park for promotional use. And just a variety of other things. Because I feel like making this park really branded would be really cool. because that's one thing I haven't really seen other people do for their parks in Planet Coaster, is make an actual brand for it and then sell fake merchandise for their theme park. Like, I could imagine now, like, what if for some reason this theme park like really takes off, and for some reason, just hypothetically speaking, I sell like $50,000 worth of merchandise for a fake theme park. Could you imagine the news story if I sold, say, like $50,000 worth of merch for this theme park? Like a random dude sells $50,000 worth of merch for a virtual theme park? That would be crazy. But at the same time, that's kind of like the society we're moving to, right? So I can just imagine it now as virtual reality and augmented reality become more popular. In the future, instead of visiting real theme parks, people are going to be visiting fake theme parks because they might not want to leave their house or travel, but they still want to go to a theme park. So people will start indulging in fake theme parks, which at the same time can be really cool because there's no money. Money isn't a limit, so you can literally make anything in the whole entire world. You're not limited to physics or engineering or money. So it's going to be interesting to see what could potentially come out of that, because I really hope that someday they'll make Planet Coaster 2 and you'll be able to import your parks from Planet Coaster 1, and maybe you can all go to it in virtual reality with your friends, and maybe that's just something you can do. It's just go to virtual reality theme parks with your friends in the future. I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I can already guess that it's going to be some pretty amazing things. And random brain connection, but the city kind of looks like a city you would find in one of the original Tony Hawk games, like Tony Hawk Underground. I've been playing Tony Hawk Underground recently because I'm practicing, because it's one of the Let's Plays I'm going to do in the future. And I just like see the city within that game, like just, it's kind of similar style. It also kind of reminds me of Central City from Sonic DX or Sonic Adventure 1. It's probably because most cities have similar elements, but personally, that's where my brain goes. So now we're just adding the smaller elements of the city. So we're adding the fire hydrants, benches, planters, street lights, bushes, and flowers. Just trying to tie everything together and make it look like everything belongs. Even though I used blueprints, I'm still kind of surprised by how quickly this all came together. And because of that, I was originally planning to only build the structure of the city for this first episode coming back, but I decided it wasn't quite enough, so that's why I ended up going and building the second roller coaster around Hyrule Castle in the second half of this episode, which is where this episode gets real good. And some other good news I want to let you guys know about is I mentioned this in episode 14, or the finale of Let's Build the Zelda coaster that I uploaded last week, but I also want to let you guys know here, but in case you haven't already noticed, this is the best quality the footage has been for this series so far. Thanks to Geekism, who's another Planet Coaster enthusiast YouTuber, I learned of a new strategy for recording these videos. Using the built-in software for my computer's graphics card, I'm able to record this footage in the best quality that I have ever been able to by far. It's still not completely perfect, but it's still much better than what I've been doing. So what I did for episode 50 and the other videos where we rode some of the rides, I plugged my computer into a capture card on another computer and then used an HDMI splitter to see what I was doing as I was recording. And I got pretty good footage from that, but this new method allows me to record with just one computer, and the quality and frame rate is even better. So it's way easier for me to record now, and the quality is better. So like, as we continue through this series, everything just keeps getting better and better, which is awesome. Like, not only is the theme park progressing, but Planet Coaster, the game itself, is progressing, my computer's progressing and becoming a better builder. It's just like cool to see how it's all gone from like 0 to 100. So for this episode, all I wanted to do was build the city. I didn't build the coaster back here, but I'm really happy we built the city because it looks so cool all the way back here, because all these skyscrapers are so tall. So even though it's in the very back corner of the park, you can still see from the entrance, and it just makes the park look really, really large seeing that back there. Just kind of get a fly-through shot. It's all looking pretty nice. We'll get some slower shots later. And then there it is from a distance. It looks really cool back there. Another large structure to really balance the castle and sci-fi complex. So next, I'm going to be taking a quick moment and painting this back corner with sand, because we are indeed going to be making this a desert themed area. What it's going to be is it's going to be zombie cowboys. We're not going to start it for a while, but that's what I've kind of decided on. Thought about it for a long time, and I thought that having like a western section mixed with zombies would be a kind of a cool mixture, because I still haven't used a single piece of western scenery for this park that the game offers, or any of the zombie pieces, and there's so many zombie animatronics, which is one of the reasons why I felt like I had to have a zombie themed area. So the next thing we're going to be working on is the second coaster for Hyrule Castle. Now I've mentioned this a couple times, but in case you didn't know, what I'm doing is I'm making a roller coaster called Calamity Ganon, and it's going to be a red coaster that circles around Hyrule Castle, where it looks like Calamity Ganon from Breath of the Wild is about to take it over, I guess. So I'm putting the station in the room to the right where I originally had the thrill ride. We're replacing it with another launch coaster. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the coaster be very fast paced all the way through. Using launchers, we're going to have it launch all the way to the top of the castle, and then once it's up there, we're going to have it slow down and then launch again into the second half of the coaster, where the coaster is going to descend and loop around the castle as it goes down. Now this is the type of coaster I'm talking about when I said that we're going to get a little bit more unrealistic with the coaster building for this series, because originally I don't think you could really have a coaster wrapping around a castle like this, but we don't really care. And one thing that you are going to notice is I had to turn the supports off for this coaster, which you can do. And the reason I did that is because if they were turned on, the supports would be reaching all the way down to the ground and we'd have super long bars everywhere. What we're going to have to do for this ride is I'm going to have to build custom supports, so the supports will land on top of the castle instead of going all the way down to the terrain itself. That is going to be a very long and time-consuming process, but I haven't done that for any other coaster in this park as well. So it's definitely one of the processes of this game that I want to show off, and this is the coaster that we're going to be using that on. One of the reasons they give you this option in the game is for professional coaster builders who want to build coasters that are super realistic. Giving those builders the option to build their own custom supports allows them to make their supports even more realistic, or allows them to make replicas of pre-existing coasters. Now originally I was going to upload a video of us riding the Legend of Zelda coaster before building this coaster. Then I decided it would probably look way cooler in the video while riding the other Zelda coaster if you saw this coaster wrapping around the castle as well, and you'd be like wondering, oh my gosh, was that coaster the whole entire time as well? And so then you'll click through and to find out what this coaster is. I try to be tactical with the way that I pique people's interest about things that's happening in this theme park. And the thing I really can't wait to do is once we have this coaster built, then we'll put the fireworks show around this castle, and you can ride this roller coaster as the fireworks show is going in the background. Something else I might do is the way you get fireworks sequences to work in this game is you have this thing called a sequencer. That's just like a time-based machine type thing where you set the firework to go off at different increments. But the other thing I could do is I could also put a bunch of trigger points on this roller coaster and then just have the fireworks go off in time to all the triggers on this roller coaster instead, and have this roller coaster be the sequence machine rather than using a sequence machine itself. What I'll probably end up doing for the fireworks sequence though is get like a short Zelda medley of some sort and have the fireworks go in time to the Zelda music, because I think that'd be the most appropriate. And I might even build multiple fireworks shows in this park, because that is one of the things we got to do in the second season is the fireworks sequence. Also in episode 50 during the park tour, I asked you guys for little nitpicks you guys had on ways to make the theme park better, and I did listen to a lot of them, and we are going to go back to the theme park and still do a lot more tweaking to make the whole entire thing better. We're going to continuously try to make this theme park better and better, and then as they also add on new pieces and scenery to the game, we'll probably go through and refine things as well, along with adding pieces of custom scenery that are added to the game through the Theme Maker's Toolkit, or by maybe eventually making scenery ourselves. I still kind of want to get into that. But as far as this coaster goes, in this episode I just wanted to get the whole entire thing just built, and then we're going to go back and do a lot of the tweaking later. We'll smooth things out a lot more. We got to do a lot of scenery. There's a lot of construction on the castle we got to do now that we have another roller coaster going through it. A lot of interior work is going to need to be done to make everything look nice, but at least we have the whole entire thing kind of marked out so we can know where everything is going to be placed. Because that's usually the hardest part, is just figuring out how it's all going to fit together. I spent a long time trying to get this whole entire coaster to fit really well into this castle, and I cut a lot of that footage out of me just experimenting with things, but overall I'm really excited with the way it all turned out. I think the best thing is also just how much empty space we filled, because this castle had a lot of empty space. Building this coaster filled a lot of that up. There's still even more empty space. We could probably fit another small ride in here somewhere, but at the same time, who knows? We'll figure it out as it goes along. One ride at a time though, right? Anyway, since you guys made it this far, we'll go ahead and ride what I've built so far. So there's no supports, so it looks kind of weird. It's all just floating in space, but once we build all the supports and have the castle built around this coaster, it's gonna look pretty awesome. And I think this coaster is already proving to be the best view of the park overall. You can see so much happening in the background. So when you get to the very, very top, it stops you. It's kind of a block section, and this is where you boost off again for the second half. And that's how we'll have multiple trains, is by spacing out the carts like that. So we're doing loops and corkscrews along the very top of the castle before we go on a big dip into the second level, where we have another huge loop in front of the castle. I love seeing the metropolis area in the background. It definitely stands out with all those tall structures. And then at the very end, I thought it'd be really cool if we went through Hyrule Castle one more time and did an inline roll through the lobby, because it's such a big room. So I thought it'd be much cooler if there was a roller coaster track doing an inline loop through the center of it, just to give it that extra Planet Coaster sauce. And then it slowly goes back down to the station. Getting it back to the station was kind of the hardest thing for me to figure out, but I think what I did ended up working pretty well. But anyways, with that, we are at the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I'm excited to continue working on this park. We're back in full force, baby, so let's go. See you guys next time.